Let's move on to the next question. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all three of you. Can you say in one sentence or less what... you know what I mean. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
That
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Love that. Typical politician's answer. Diversity, opportunity, freedom and freedom. America. Fuck yeah. We're the greatest.
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
I mean, if you think about it, the Jets could epitomize the American dream, coming from nothing, rising up, except for the fact that the Jets suck. Sorry if you're a Jets fan. Go Giants.
No, I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world?
Because we're awesome.
Well, Lewis and Sharon said it. Diversity and opportunity and freedom and freedom.
It is not. Look at that revelation.
I'm not letting you go back to the airport without answering the question.
I've not actually seen this show, The Newsroom. I heard that the writing is really good. The writer from the West Wing did this one, didn't he? Is this something I should check out? Comment down below.
Well, our Constitution is a masterpiece. James Madison was a genius. The Declaration of Independence is, for me, the single greatest piece of American writing.
Hey, James Madison was an incredibly intelligent man. The way that he penned his thoughts to paper. I mean, we got to shout out Alexander Hamilton as well, the Federalist Papers, for defending the Constitution and so eloquently put forward. I mean, it wasn't just writing the Constitution. We got to give Madison them credit for. It's the way that they defended it and the way that they structured it and set everything up and had the foresight to build our nation. I mean, it's nothing short of unbelievable. Anyways.
Well, our Constitution is a masterpiece. James Madison was a genius. The Declaration of Independence is, for me, the single greatest piece of American writing. You don't look satisfied.
One's a set of laws and the other's a declaration of war. I want a human moment from you.
Kind of a double standard. I mean, you had the other speakers basically just give 1- and 2-word answers, and he says a couple sentences, and that's all of a sudden not good enough. Oh, there it is again.
What about the people? Why is America
not the greatest country in the world, Professor? That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of her paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose.
If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always?
Hey, and with a straight face, you're gonna tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom?
Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain,
Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yet you...
Huh. Very interesting the way they set this up. Because what they want to show is he goes after, you know, someone who's more on the left side. Then he goes after freedom and sort of a right-sided argument. So you want to show that he's kind of someone who's non-biased, who's seeing the playing field from a different perspective. And obviously you can refute both of those statements. I mean, you can even look at freedom as well. I mean, there's different degrees of freedom in terms of freedom of press, freedom of speech, the degree in which each country has freedoms and as they're represented. I mean, yes, we are very blessed. We're very lucky because we do live in one of those free countries. But the point that he's making here is look at all the other free countries and all the other possibilities that there are, and maybe we need to cast a wider spectrum. Anyways, I'm pausing too soon. Let's see where he goes with this.
So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yet you, sorority girl,
just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day,
there's some things you should know. And one of them is There is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined. 25 of...
When did this come out? 2016? I think we've dropped in some of those categories now. Some of those numbers have changed, haven't they? But one thing it hasn't changed, which is very interesting, is number of incarcerated citizens. And we've talked about this a little bit, some of the reactions that we did. We looked at Akala, fire in the booth, and, you know, the prison and penal system here makes a lot of money and a lot of revenue. It is a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. But maybe that's something we need to unpack a little bit more another day, and why that is and how things are set up that way within our nation. But the question, you know, what makes America the best? Why are we so great? And then if you sit here and you go, well, I think America's great because of our education system. Well, we're not. Well, I think America is great because we're a leader in business. Well, when you look at exports, we're not from a world economic perspective. So you start to sit here and go through a list, and you try to make this an objective argument. I mean, obviously, what's tough is that subjectively you feel a certain way. You feel pride in your nation. You know, you feel proud of it. So obviously, you're going to say, yeah, I'm proud of my country. Yeah, we're the best. I live here and I love it. But when you start to objectively look at it, and you start to list out the variables, you know, we're not number one in any of the major factors. And another one that he didn't mention that I think is important is the World Happiness Index, which looks at a number of other factors and just individual happiness and tries to calculate that. And I think we're like 17th or 18th. Like, we're way down on that as well. You know, we're not the happiest of countries. We're not the most educated of countries. We're not the best employed of countries. You know, there's a lot of things that we are not number one in. And that's okay, though. I mean, I think we as a nation, since we're so big and we're so separated from people, because, you know, we cross so many different time zones, whereas in Europe, if you drive a couple hours down the road, people might be speaking a completely different language, different culture, different setup, everything. It's easy to have sort of this isolationist, almost island-like mentality. And it's humbling when you look at the numbers and you realize, no, we aren't the leader in many things. But does that mean we're bad? No. Does that mean we have less freedom? No. We're still a great country to live in with so many opportunities. But it's okay to be humble and to admit that we have flaws and we have mistakes and things we need to work on. But again, I'm pausing so soon. I get very passionate about this stuff. I love it. I really do. Let's keep it going.
Her allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite?
Shots fired. Wow. Can you imagine, though, if like all politicians and public speakers just spoke like this, or just raw, off the cuff? Oh my.
Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior.
Really like that statement. That's interesting. Because you do have this tendency nowadays when someone is very educated or intelligent on a subject, like, especially on socials, I see it all the time. You just like dismiss them. We're so dismissive now of actually doing research, of finding stuff. Like, we just argue so many things, just knee-jerk reactions, emotional responses, when we don't step back and analyze. And sometimes we lead too much with our hearts and less with our heads. I see that all the time, and it's almost like it's not cool to be informed on the subject anymore. You know, we troll that online. It's crazy.
Intelligence, we didn't belittle it. It didn't.
Notice the piano track as well as he's talking about this, and it feels very nostalgic. You know, the music evokes a certain sort of emotion. You start feeling prideful. You think about sort of like the glory days and the good old days.
Feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy.
A lot of scaremongering that goes on nowadays in the media and the news and how we are. That's so very true. And then, again, I've written a song on this. I've done No More Sheep, how people are just identified based on who they vote for. I even had the lines, you are worth more than who you vote for. You know, it's not just about who you voted for in the last election or the one before that. That doesn't envelop your entire character. That doesn't define who you are as a person. Yet it seems to in a lot of society today.
We were able to be all these things and do all these.
Look at that open mouth. That person's shocked. If only this was an actual event and not written.
We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one.
It's true.
America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
Oh, what did he say there? That cut out. America is not the greatest country in the world. And I mean, you could make an argument, and this is something we could debate all day. I'm sure we'll be debated in the comment section that we never were the greatest country. I mean, even the glory days and the good old days we talked about, you know, we even passed immoral laws. Slavery was legal at one point in time. And then, yeah, we fixed that. We abolished slavery. We got rid of it. Women couldn't vote for the longest of times. I mean, there was a point where if you weren't a landowner, you couldn't vote. We've had a civil war. We've gotten involved in some ugly wars. We've, you know, staged coups in other countries. We've allowed corrupt dictators because they didn't align with communism. We felt like we could influence them more to rule and to support them. You know, we've had a lot of shady things in our past. We're not perfect, but you'd be very hard pressed to find any country that has a fully clean record. I mean, there is blood on the records of any nation state. I guess the most important thing that I do like what it does there is it kind of helps to just, to humble ourselves, to settle us down a little bit, and to remind us that, hey, you know, we're a part of a bigger world, and we don't lead at anything in the world. But does that make our position in the world any less important? No, it doesn't. We still have a huge influence on how world events are carried out. You know, there are very large nations that are not democratic nations that have a lot of power. We're witnessing one of them trying to bully another nation in Ukraine. We're witnessing the continued rise of China. You know, you have nations where they don't have freedoms. You speak out against the government, you could get jailed. You could vanish, never come back. You know, we have to appreciate the freedoms that we do have and the influence that we still do have on the world. Yes, we are not number one. I don't know if we ever will be, but who cares? This is our country. Be proud of it. Be proud of where you are. Be proud of where you're from. And, you know, let your actions be an example for others. And sometimes maybe we all need to say less and try to learn from other countries and other cultures and take it on board as we move forward as one, as people, as humans. I don't know. Going off on one. This was cool, though. Definitely different. All right, guys. Take care.